Hello everybody, this is Mr. Kimmel with another screencast for Life Science. In this lesson, we are going to learn about reproduction. Here, you can find the standards for this unit. On this slide are your learning objectives. Remember, these are everything you will need to make sure you understand and know for this unit. Recall that one of the characteristics of life is that organisms reproduce. Reproduction is the process by which an organism produces the same of its kind. One way for organisms to reproduce is asexually. The prefix a means not. So asexual reproduction means not sexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, one parent organism, which could be a single cell or something like a flatworm, makes a copy of itself. The result is that the offspring and the parent have identical DNA, meaning the offspring is exactly like the parent. Let's look at 3 different ways this can happen. One type of asexual reproduction is called budding. In budding, a new organism begins to form at the side of the parent organism until a whole new organism is formed. Yeast are an organism that reproduce via budding. Recall that yeast are single-celled fungi. Another type of asexual reproduction is regeneration. In this process, new parts replace damaged parts. This can occur in cells, tissue, and even limbs. Some organisms can even grow a new organism from a part of one. Here we can see a planarian, which is a type of flatworm, cut in half, and each half regrows into 2 new individuals. We can also see this occurring in hydra and starfish. The last type of asexual reproduction is called binary fission. In this type of reproduction, the DNA in a bacterial cell replicates, or makes a copy of itself, and then the cell splits into 2 new cells, each with a copy of its own DNA. Now we will learn about sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction occurs when 2 different individuals produce 1 new individual. In this case, the DNA of the offspring is not the same as the DNA of the parents. This type of reproduction occurs when a male sperm cell fertilizes a female ova, or egg cell. Fertilization is the process by which a sperm cell joins an ova. Each gamete has 1 set of chromosomes, making the cell a haploid. When 2 gametes join, they form a zygote, which is another word for fertilized egg cell. The new cell, or zygote, has a full set of chromosomes, 1 set from each parent, making it what is called diploid. A zygote then goes through stages of development before it becomes a full-grown offspring. In humans, the zygote grows into an embryo from 0 to 8 weeks, and a fetus from 9 weeks to birth, which is about 40 weeks total. This process of growth and development happens as cells divide. We will learn about this process soon. We are going to learn about how plants reproduce. Did you know that plants can reproduce sexually and asexually? A cutting is when you cut a piece of a plant off and then replant it. You can cut a piece of stem or root and it will grow the missing parts and make a whole new plant. Have you ever cut up a sprouting potato and then planted each piece, or transferred some grass from one area of your yard to another? That's a cutting, and that's asexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction can also occur in plants. Flowers are the reproductive organs of angiosperms, or flowering plants. Flowers can have male parts or female parts or both on the same flower. The male part of the flower is called the stamen. The stamen is made of the anther and its filaments. The anther produces pollen, which contains sperm cells in them. The female part of the flower is called the pistil, or the carpel. It has a sticky stigma on the end that receives pollen grains. Then there's the style, which connects to the ovary. The ovary contains the ovule, which produce the ova or egg cells of the plant. When pollen lands on the stigma, a pollen tube forms to allow the sperm cells to travel to the ova. Other parts of a flower include the colored petals, the small green leaves at the base called sepals. Sexual reproduction occurs in plants through the process of pollination. In this process, pollen is transferred from the male part of a flower to the female part of a flower. Pollen travels by wind and animals to different flowers. Once, on the female stigma, the pollen travels down to the ovary, where the sperm cells fertilize the egg cell. A seed is a fertilized egg cell in plants. Some plants produce fruit to protect their seeds. They are attractive to animals, so they will eat the fruit and the seeds and then disperse them in their feces. Gymnosperms, such as pine trees, have male and female cones. The male cones produce pollen, and the female cones contain egg cells. Pine nuts are the seeds that develop when the egg cells are fertilized. Recall that some plants do not produce seeds. Instead, they produce spores. Ferns are a type of plant that is seedless and produce spores, which can be seen on the back of their leaves. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.